Hi, and welcome to Alaskan in the Philippines. Today I thought about the realities of living in a country where you don't speak the language like Thailand. It's kind of a human nature to want to be able to communicate with each other, and it's rather frustrating when you can't. Here, not being able to speak Thai could affect everything from you ordering food to meeting the love of your life. If you're going to walk up to someone, if you can't even speak the language, and most can't here. And if you find someone like in Thailand here where I am now, if you can find someone that speaks English, it's very hard to understand, very limited, very broken. From what I've seen from the few just people I've tried to deal with at the counter and hotel counters and stuff, their English, even though they're in a position where they're welcoming English speaking guests, they're still very limited in their English. So it's going to really affect everything. When you walk into a supermarket or something, everything's written in Thai. You're going to go up to it, there's something you want right there, you don't know what it is. The label's all in Thai. All the food items are in Thai. So some will put an English translation on them, a lot of them they won't, most they won't. So you kind of got to guess what it is. It can be a good guess, it can be a bad guess. I bought something I forgot. I bought a bag of what I thought were peanuts, and when I got them, there was nothing on them that said what they were. I figured they were a bag of peanuts. When I got home, they were sunflower seeds. I didn't know. Soaked in coconut. It was at a 7-Eleven. So yeah, even at the 7-Eleven, everything's written in Thai. So you got to know what you want, or you got to be able to see it through the package. As far as reading ingredients too, you ain't gonna be able to read ingredients. All the signs are in Thai too, so when you're going down the road and everything, even the street vendors, some will put them in English too if they were trying to draw in the expat crowds, but you won't hear much, you won't see much English signage around even. So yeah, you'll be in a store shopping and you'll see something you want, and there's a sign right next to it that says maybe it's on sale, or maybe this stuff is really limited and very expensive, so you don't know. I noticed that. I was hoping that when I was shopping, I'd see a sign above this one item, and I thought, maybe this is on sale or something, but you wouldn't know because you can't read it. I guess you can use the Google app for that too. I'll try that. I haven't tried it yet. But it's same with meeting anybody, even to meet a person. Like yesterday, I was getting my hair cut, and this nice lady, really nice looking lady, she was 41. We were able to communicate just a little bit, but she was trying to explain to me where she lived, and I couldn't understand her. She had a home somewhere over, and she was pointing that way. And when I told her where I lived, she couldn't understand that too. I had to pull up a picture on the phone, show her on Google Maps. But it was a struggle, frustratingly struggle to communicate just a little bit. I wanted to chat with her a little and talk to her. She was cutting my hair there for probably an hour, so I figured make small talk, but it was hard to do and frustrating to try if you're not getting through to her, or you can't communicate your message. It's rather frustrating. So I'm just looking down the road, what'll that look like? Right now I'm kind of a lone wolf. I'm not into any expat groups, or I'm not into the bars, so I'm not chatting with the local Thais that are probably geared to having some English, learning from other expats and stuff. But I'm not in that area. I'm not hanging out in the bars, and so I'm just eating at restaurants and dealing with people at 7-Eleven. And even the expat community here, they ignore each other totally. They do the same in the Philippines too. Two Europeans walk down the road and the road is empty, and they'll walk right by without looking at each other. I try to say hi to everybody if I get in that situation where we're gonna go walk down a quiet road and he's gonna walk right by me. I'll nod and say hi or something. A lot of them won't respond. It's a European thing, maybe, I don't know, because it's predominantly Europeans here, the expat community. A lot of French. I hear different languages spoken. They're speaking German, French, Swiss maybe, Italian. A lot of French I've seen. I've even went to a French restaurant, and there was a bunch of French in there, and they were all speaking French and everything. So I know French is one of them, a lot of them. And I spoke to another German expat, and he'd lived 9 years in Chiang Mai and 2 years here in Hoi Hin. And I thought, wow, how'd you like so you decided you like it here better? And he goes, no, I like Chiang Mai better. I said, really? Why the reason? There's no beach there. I've never been there, but I'm kind of rating it on having. I was talking to him at the beach. It was a really nice, beautiful beach. How come you don't like it here? He says, well, the expat community up there, or the community, he said, is much better. I don't know what he meant. I said, really? Yeah. He said he liked the community up there better. I don't know if he was speaking expat community or the town in general, maybe both. I don't know, but that was his take on it. So, and it's hard to be here, and he was one of the few people I was ever able to speak English to. You know, there's just a few here that'll speak to you. And I spoke to another American lady. She was from Vietnam. She was one of the boat people that went to America a long time ago. I remember hearing about that. It was quite a while back. A bunch of Vietnamese boat people showed up, and they had asylum in the U.S., maybe after the war or something. But anyway, she was one of them, and she had lived her life in California. Her English was really bad too, really broken English, and but she was American. She asked me, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Alaska." She goes, "Oh, fellow American, all right." I said, "Where are you from?" "California." And she looked like a Vietnamese and spoke broken English like a Vietnamese. I said, "Oh, really?" "Yeah." She says she just retired here too, so. She just retired, and she says, "But I'm finding it bored. I don't want to just sit around in my apartment all day. I need to do something." And I was like, yeah, it's hard, you know, when you don't speak the language. She says, "Yeah, it is." She goes, "I was offering to one of the schools to go in and help teach English, or they asked me to help speak English if I wanted to do some volunteer work." And she said, but her English, she admitted her English was terrible, you know, it was really broken bad from living most of her life in Vietnam probably, and just learning English as a second language. But they said, no, that's good enough, come and help teach us, you know. So I guess they're open to that, and that's something maybe I could consider getting into, you know, where I'm teaching English and maybe communicating with some people a little better, or find where the English speaking people want to be, you know, and that might help too. So as I get down the road here, I might do something like that. I actually got a TEFL certificate that's for teaching English foreign language as a foreign language to foreigners, you know. I actually got an online certificate. It took me a week or so to get it online. And I can officially teach English, but not here in Vietnam or in Thailand. Here you need to be a bachelor's degree, and I don't have that. But I may be able to volunteer and do some, you know, volunteer help somewhere in one of the schools or something. That might be something to do to get me out meeting people, that other like-minded English-speaking people, or people that want to try. But I'm sure, you know, here in Thailand, if they can speak English, that really helps them on their resume. You know, that opens their doors to a lot of good jobs in the tourism industry, and that's, you know, Thailand's biggest industry is tourism. So communicating in English would be a big windfall to them. They can get in a lot of jobs that others can't, you know. They can get in the higher paying end jobs too, you know, consulting and stuff like that. Or just reading and translating, you know, just translating English to people. I'm sure there's a big calling for teachers here. I don't know, you know, everybody wants to probably learn English. There's a lot of people here that would love to learn English, I'm sure of that. So I might get into that as some way to break through the language barrier, and then in turn learn some myself. I might have to go to a Thai school maybe just to be able to stay in the country. If you're attending a school, you can get a visa, so I might look into that if that comes to that. I'm pretty stupid and I won't be able to learn it very well, but I'll give it a try. You know, I lived in Alaska with the English was a second language to those people where I lived, and the elders didn't speak English, so I'm gotten used to be able to get my point across using very simple basic English and mime when I have to, you know. But so far here, you know, it's pretty tough. It's pretty tough living without being able to speak any Thai or other than saying hello, you know. It can be, and the people will avoid you too, you know. They don't want to be embarrassed or think that you're insulting or rude if they walk away and because you don't know what you said, you know. They don't want to feel that that pressure to where you think that if you don't answer them, you're being stuck up or something. That probably occurs to them. I better just not try to interact, because he might ask me something, and if I just nod my head, it might be rude or something. So that's something to consider. So then you got another, you got a choice of the Philippines too. They speak English, so you can get by pretty good there with just English. You can communicate, you can small talk, you can chat a girl, walk up to her, and she'll be able to understand what you're saying. Their accent can be real thick, and those that don't attend school there won't be able to speak with you either. They learn it in school. So if there's any that didn't, which there are some people that didn't go to school, they don't speak English at all. A lot of the older people, like in the stalls, like vegetable stalls and stuff, when you go up to them, they don't speak a lick of English, the old ladies and stuff. You just gotta point at what you want and how much it is and pay them. They can tell you how much it weighs, weigh it in front of you. So then you can get by quite a bit easier. It does take a lot of the load of loneliness, actually. So you're thinking about moving here, and you're gonna come here, you're gonna be all alone. If you're on vacation, it's no big deal. You can come and hassle it out for a month without speaking any Thai. You can get by in the tourist areas. They'll speak enough English to sell you food, and at the checkout counter you'll be able to make it out. But there's that other part that you won't be able to do anything else, and there will be a lonely life for you if you're an introvert and you don't get out and meet people, which is kind of hard to do if you're not into the bar scene. You're not going out to the bars. You really don't have another choice other than malls or things like that. So I guess there's Facebook too and things. I'm not into Facebook, so maybe that's something I should get into, is getting into groups of people like-minded me that can at least speak English. That's another idea. But to daily struggle alone through day to day without knowing the English, or not knowing the Thai language, and you're in a Thai area, not in right in the expats, or speaking to the expats even if they're around. So they're around, but you're not speaking to them either. So it's kind of you get into a void where you're not communicating with anyone. And I could see where you could be drawn into a reclusive hermit type existence here, but hopefully I'm not going to let that happen to me. I'm going to get out, and I'm going to continue to say hello to people when I see them, and if they look like they're hesitated there for a minute, want to talk, I'll talk with them too, and learn some people and meet new people. That's probably the key. Meet new people, and they'll eventually overcome a lot of that problem, But anyway, that's my thought on the language barrier between here and now added into the Philippines. I would say if that's going to be a real problem for you and you don't want to feel entirely lost, the Philippines might be a better place for that, because you're really going to have to work hard to communicate here as you arrive. Maybe it gets easier down the road. If you had a Thai girlfriend, it would really, really help. And if she spoke English, that's another thing. You might have one, but she ain't going to communicate very good either. But she'll be able to communicate for you. That'll be a big, big plus too, That would really help. But anyway, those are my few thoughts on the language barrier here in Thailand. Hang on for more. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe.